Hello and thank you so much for joining us for today's video. We just want to show you a short clip from our video, 3 terrifying haunted bridges from our new channel, Paranormally Listed. Science is rich with proven examples about how certain animals have a sense that humans don't. Birds have been known to sense earthquakes. There are reports of cats cozying up to elderly people who are about to die. Even sea turtles have shown a keen connection to the Earth's electromagnetic force. So it may not be hard to leap to the idea that dogs perhaps have a sixth sense when it comes to the paranormal. Case in point, Overton Bridge in West Bartonshire, Scotland. Built in 1895 by industrialist James White as a traverse connecting his Gothic mansion to the town nearby, the stone bridge spans a deep ravine in a densely forested area. Yet, sadly, the ravine has become a resting place of countless pet canines over the years. So many dogs have died at the bridge, in fact, that it's been dubbed the Dog Suicide Bridge by local townsfolk. You can find a link to the rest of the video and the channel in the description box below this video and at the end of this video. Before we start today's video, we want to bring you a word from our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. With stunning visuals, amazing storytelling, and outstanding gameplay, Raid Shadow Legends is like a game you play on a major console, but it's available on your mobile device. I'm super excited by their newest hero, Deliana, from the High Elves faction. She is one of the most powerful heroes in the game, and she will help you get through some of the toughest parts of the game. She has 3 amazing skills, and each one comes with a chance to inflict a debuff on your enemies. The best news is that Raid has a great promotion where you can get Deliana very easily. All you have to do is log on and play Raid for 7 days between now and July 20th. Then you'll get Deliana for free. That's it. This is for new players and veterans. Just log on and play for 7 days and you'll get Deliana on the 7th day. If you're a new player, there are even more gifts for you. When you log on to the game, enter the promo code MyDeliana to get 50 experience brews to instantly get your legendary hero, Deliana, to max level 50, as well as a ton of silver. I love Raid because there's always new stuff going on. This month they have a new event every day, including one for the summer solstice. It's called the Path of Light, and there are 3 branching paths to get the rewards you want most. Plus, there's yet another new champion coming out, and a set of skins for Trunda Gil Mallet. I can't wait to use them because they look amazing. As you can probably tell, this is the best time to get started in Raid. If you click on my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen, you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Burgess, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 experience boost, and 1 ancient shard, so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get into the game. And all this treasure will be waiting for you here. It's that easy. Just click on the link in the description and I'll see you in the game. Number 3. James Watson, Paul Watson, and Graham Sim. Wrestlerigg is a suburb of Edinburgh, Scotland. On September 19, 2014, 46-year-old resident Thomas Lamb went to a local pub called The Tor. Thomas and his father, John Lamb, were frequent patrons of the bar. That night, Thomas had been playing pool, and just before 1 a.m., he got into a fight with 3 young men. Thomas told them that this wasn't over, that he left the pub. Thomas then headed to the home that he shared with his father. A short time later, neighbors of Thomas and John heard a commotion outside. They looked out the window and they saw Thomas being assaulted by 3 men on the road in front of his home. They were kicking and jumping on his head. One of the attackers picked up a pitchfork and said, "Will I finish him off?" He then stabbed him several times with a pitchfork. Another one of the men stabbed him with a knife. Then the 3 attackers took off running. The neighbors called the police. Some of them came outside and found Thomas bleeding profusely. The pitchfork was lying on top of his body and a knife was under his head. Thomas was rushed to the hospital. Tragically, the 46-year-old man died from his wounds. The police started a search for the three men that Thomas fought with at the pub that night. A series of interviews led them to a pair of brothers, 27-year-old James Watson and 29-year-old Paul Watson, and their friend, 21-year-old Gary Sim. The three men had been out celebrating because James had just been released from prison. He had served 5 years after being convicted of robbing a convenience store with a knife and 2 additional assault charges. Hours after he robbed the store, he attacked a couple. He knocked out several of the man's teeth. He punched the woman in the face, kicked her body, and dragged her on the ground. Paul Watson and Gary Sim were no angels themselves. They both had convictions for violent attacks. Sim told the police that the fight started in the pub when he disrupted Thomas's pool cue. Sim said that after Thomas left the bar, he followed him home and they started fighting in the street. Thomas went into his home and came back out with a knife and a pitchfork. At this point, the Watson brothers had caught up and they joined in attacking Thomas. It's unclear when Thomas became disarmed, but it's not really a surprise that he lost his weapons because he was being attacked by three men with a history of violence who were all half his age. The Watsons and Sim were arrested and charged with murder. Thomas's death was another recent tragedy for his family. Thomas's father, John, was inside the home sleeping when his son was murdered outside. 4 years earlier, in 2011, John's daughter, Sandra, passed away at the age of 46. The following year, Thomas's daughter, who was John's granddaughter, 16-year-old Donna Lamb, died in her sleep. It was labeled sudden adult death syndrome. John was devastated by the loss of his daughter, son, and granddaughter. So after Thomas's murder, he stopped taking his medication for a serious lung condition. 67-year-old John Lamb died 11 weeks after Thomas's murder. James Watson, Paul Watson, and Graham Sim went to trial in July 2015. There was a lot of evidence against the three men. This included James's shoe patterns on Thomas's face. Thomas's blood was also found on his shoes. The autopsy revealed that the pitchfork had cut Thomas's pulmonary vein and penetrated his aorta. The trial concluded after 3 weeks. All three men were found guilty. They were all sentenced to life in prison with a 20-year minimum. That means they can't be released until 2035. Number 2, Charlene Mess. Attica is a small town in Wyoming County, New York. In 2010, the population of the town was 7,700. This included the Mess family. 52-year-old Douglas and his wife, 48-year-old Charlene, owned and operated a dairy farm. The couple had 4 sons, and they also worked on the farm. Douglas had a second job delivering cow feed to other farms. On the morning of April 20th, 2015, 52-year-old Douglas didn't show up for his job delivering feed. He worked with one of his sons, and that son reported him missing. The state police went to the Mess's farm and questioned Charlene. She said she hadn't seen her husband since the night before. The police and the Mess family began to search for Douglas on the family's property. Charlene got on a horse and helped with the search. The search ended after about 7 hours when one of Douglas and Charlene's sons noticed a manure pile about 100 feet from the house had been disturbed. Under 3 feet of manure was the dead body of Douglas Mess. When the body was found, Charlene had an anxiety attack. It turned out that the night before, they had argued in the barn. What they argued about has never been made public. Nevertheless, she picked up a pitchfork and stabbed her husband of 30 years several times. Once he was incapacitated, she picked up a .22 caliber rifle and shot him once in the back of the head. After he died, Charlene bound his wrists and ankles with bale wire. Then, using a piece of equipment called a skid steer, she moved his body to the manure pile. She buried him under 3 feet of manure, hoping the manure would make his body decompose faster. Charlene Mess was charged with second-degree murder. Charlene made a plea deal with the prosecution. In June 2016, she pleaded guilty to manslaughter, and she was given a sentence of a maximum of 25 years in prison. At the time of this video, 55-year-old Charlene Mess is serving a prison sentence at the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility in Westchester, New York. Her earliest release date is September 2036, when she'll be 69 years old. Number 1. Jonathan David Bruce. Her set is in California, Central Valley, and in 2000, it had a population of nearly 64,000 people. It was home to the Carpenters, who lived in a quiet ranch farmhouse. John and Tiffany Carpenter had 5 children: 14-year-old Jessica, 13-year-old Anna, 11-year-old Vanessa, 9-year-old Ashley, and 7-year-old John William. John Carpenter owned a construction company. On the morning of August 23, 2000, John was working at a site over 30 miles away in Lake Don Pedro, California. He left early in the morning before the children woke up. Since it was summer, the children were sleeping in, so Tiffany used the quiet time to take the family's van to the auto shop. The eldest Carpenter child, 14-year-old Jessica, woke up first and walked into the living room. In the living room was a naked man who was a complete stranger to her. The man was pulling on his pants. Jessica wanted to run out of the house, but the furniture had been moved, so it was blocking all the doors that led out of the house. Jessica went back into her room and locked the door. She picked up the phone to call 911, but the line was dead. The man started banging on her bedroom door. Jessica climbed out the window and ran to a neighbor's home. 13-year-old Anna and 11-year-old Vanessa were sleeping in the same room. They were awoken by someone pounding on their bedroom door. They opened the door, and the man, who was now holding a pitchfork, was standing in the doorway. Anna instinctively stepped in front of her younger sister to protect her. The man told Anna to lie down, and she refused. He then tried to stab her in the chest with a pitchfork. Anna managed to get her hands up to defend herself, but her hands were severely injured. The commotion woke up 9-year-old Ashley, who came into the bedroom. She screamed, "Stop it." The home invader then turned his attention to Ashley. Anna and Vanessa ran out of the bedroom. They discovered that all the doors had been blocked with furniture. They ran to the laundry room, which was blocked by a bookcase. They managed to move the bookcase, and they got into the laundry room. They locked the door behind them. The man came to the laundry room door and asked them to open the door. He said that he would be nice to them. The girls managed to climb out of the window. Outside, they found Jessica. Jessica had returned from the neighbor's house because they weren't home. The 3 girls ran to another neighbor's house, and they were home. Jessica called 911 and told the operator that a man had broken into their home and attacked her brother and her sister with a pitchfork. Officers rushed to the house and put up yellow tape around it. Tiffany arrived home, and she was shocked by what she found. She was completely unaware of what happened after she left the house. An officer told her that someone was in her house and he didn't know if her children were alive. 2 officers entered the home and encountered the pitchfork-wielding intruder in the hallway. They ordered him to drop the pitchfork. He ignored their demands and ran towards them. The officers fired several shots at him and he fell to the ground. Then, just like a villain in a horror movie, he stood back up again and charged at the officers with a pitchfork. The officers fired more shots at him and he went down a second time. This time, he stayed down. The police searched the rest of the house. They found the dead bodies of the youngest Carpenter children, 9-year-old Ashley and 7-year-old John William. They both had been killed with a pitchfork. Anna was taken to the hospital and her wounds were treated. She ultimately survived the attack. The killer was identified as 27-year-old Jonathan David Bruce. He lived about 8 miles from the Carpenters and had no known connections to them. Many neighbors considered Bruce creepy and spooky. He usually slept during the day and roamed around the neighborhood at night. Bruce hated children. He often screamed at children who lived in his neighborhood. Bruce had been arrested a few times for domestic violence. In 1999, he was arrested for being under the influence of methamphetamine and fighting with the police. It was suspected that Bruce was high at the time of the murders. Drugs could have contributed to his motive, and it would explain how he got up after he was initially shot. It was determined that 16 shots were fired and Bruce was hit 13 times. But the toxicology report revealed that Bruce only had marijuana in his system. It's a mystery as to why Bruce attacked the Carpenter family. As we mentioned earlier, it didn't appear that they knew each other. Another mystery is how he got to the family's home. He lived 8 miles from them, and there's no evidence that he drove to the family's home. After the murders, the Carpenter family never returned to the house. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please don't forget to check out our new channel, Paranormally Listed. There's a link on the screen now, and there's a link in the description box below this video. Well, that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.